Welcome to understanding the 5 project phases. When the team thinks in terms of project phases, they are able to increase productivity because the phases provide a clear deliverable and help properly prepare the team members for the next phase of the project. The success and failure of a project is solely dependent on the team and their ability to carry out the milestones outlined in each of the 5 phases of the project. Phases also help each team member understand and define their role and support other team members' roles. To properly prepare, we have 2 meetings that are mandatory for all to attend that are working on the project. These are called the Kickoff Meetings. Essentially, these 2 meetings cover very similar information. The first meeting is the project team meeting, and all the Bunifu strategic partners and subcontractors attend this meeting. The Bunifu exec, the project manager, the curriculum writer or writers, instructional designer, and any additional members. The second meeting is to orient the client to the project. The project manager runs this meeting. Curriculum writer and the instructional designer will all attend and be introduced and explain their role within the project. What are the main objectives of both meetings? Introduce each team member and their role in the project. Build relationship and rapport among team members. Review the scope of the project, which explains the deliverables, requirements, resources, projections, manpower, cost, and schedule of the project. Review the 5 phases of the project and timeline associated. Revision cycles and the importance of these cycles to ensure accuracy of content development and e-learning production. Review non-negotiables. Tips for ensuring an on-time quality project. Set weekly or bi-weekly standing meeting, one-on-one time, and establish the best avenues to communicate with each team member. To ensure a quality project, we implement 5 project phases: front-end analysis, design, storyboarding, e-learning production, and quality assurance testing and closing meeting. Each phase will be described in more detail as we review each of the phases. You will see that each phase must be completed within a certain time frame to ensure that each person on the project team has ample time to complete a quality product. Each phase also has specific deliverables associated with it. Phase number 1, front-end analysis. The front-end analysis is the most important part as we create and design modules. During this phase, there will be a review of the brand guidelines, thorough needs assessment, research of the topic, and gathering of any learning materials necessary to develop the modules. The deliverable for Phase 1 is a list of reference materials. Please note, the timeline is subject to change based on the front-end analysis. Phase number 2, design. During this phase, the scope and sequence is created that will include the layout, style guide, sequencing and pacing, learning objectives, and annotated content outlined for each module. The deliverables for phase number 2 are a scope and sequence PDF, a pacing guide PDF, and a prototype. A prototype will help with ensuring an approved layout, style guide, and content placement are approved. Phase number 3, storyboarding. There is a storyboard and voiceover scripts created during this phase for each module based on the scope and sequence and learning objectives. Placement of multimedia elements, graphics, and transitions are also developed during this phase with the incorporation of formative and summative assessment knowledge checks. Each storyboard will go through a cycle of revisions and sign-off by the designated POC to ensure tone of voice and style guide are adhered to. The deliverables for Phase 3 are approved storyboards. In orange, you will see the recommended revision cycle for the project. Bunifu writers will create the storyboard, usually in a Google document. Then it will go to the client for only 2 revision cycles. The first cycle of revisions allows the client to make major changes. It can be considered an overhaul of the content. Keep in mind that the content at this point can be completely altered. This allows the writer to understand the client's tone, key pieces of content needed or wanted. The second revision cycle allows the client to ensure their recommendation from the first cycle was incorporated and accurate and includes the key content requested. Then, all is signed off on by the client. The sign-off indicates content will no longer be revised and it will be moved to the editor for first review. Finally, Bunifu finalizes the content. Phase number 4, e-learning production and quality assurance testing. During this phase, the online module is built out in Articulate 360 authoring software with the guidance of the storyboard. Any learning aids, videos, audio, graphic, template, and accessibility features are aligned or integrated to each model. A quality assurance testing occurs during this phase as well, where each module will go through a cycle of revisions and sign-offs by the designated POC to ensure a good user experience. The deliverables for Phase 4 are the modules, videos, and learning aids. Once the storyboard is signed off and finalized, then it will move to e-learning production, where each module will be created in an authoring tool on a learning management system, graphic design and/or motion video platform. Again, the client will have 2 review cycles and have another opportunity to sign off on each e-learning module. Then it will be finalized and a quality assurance check will occur to make sure all features are working correctly. Then the editor does a second review. Phase 5, closing meeting. This phase involves the evaluation of the performance of the project with a formal closing meeting with point of contact and team. There is also a formal closeout process that involves passing off all project assets, rounding up financials, and closing out any administrative paperwork. The 5 project phases are written in the client's legally binding contract, and it is explained at the client's kickoff meeting.